If you are having trouble to hypnotize people in a covert way, it is simply because you have missed the most essential thing. Which is basically that influence starts not when you start opening your mouth, or not when you start doing a hypnotic induction, or when you start telling a story to use some embedded commands. This is later in the process, you know. In the beginning, what happens is that the influence is starting at the microsecond you cross the look of the person, basically. Not because of the hypnotic eyes, it can be useful too, but not even with that, just because people are giving off clues non-stop and you are not paying attention enough, so you miss a lot of the clues people give to you that you could have been using to hypnotize them covertly if you had been catching all those signals they sent you. All the things from their physiology, their body posture, the way they behave, their handshake, their haircut, many things tell you what people are about and what their personality looks like, and how do they want that you communicate with them, or how do they expect you speak to them. All those things are really being given off by the way they look at you, by the way they behave, by the way they walk, by the way they interact with other people. If you have a chance to see how they behave and interact with others in the room or other people in their entourage, this will give you so many clues even before you say anything. Basically, the skill we all develop when we are in sales, or when we have been doing any kind of prospection, we want to sell something, or we want to help people in a general way, we just develop a hyper awareness that women can tend to have more because of the mother instinct, especially if they just gave birth to their baby recently. They may be, you know, in this hypersensitive state of what do people need. And everyone can develop that state, basically this mega awareness of what is happening around me right now. You get the hell out of your head and you pay attention to people around you and notice what is it that they do. Not just what they say, but how do they behave? Do they scratch their chin nervously? Do they cross their arms at the mentioning of a specific name that they did not like, specifically a political name, for example? What do they do in response to their environment, to what happens around them? This is what was going to tell you what do they need, basically. In which state are they currently into? And in which state can you lead them through your influential language? Basically, once you have been mastering that skill of hyper awareness of what's happening in the physiology and body posture of the people you are interacting with, what happens is that your language and behavior adapts even without you knowing it. That's what happens, you know, once you really master all those things. The way you communicate and the way you are going to behave with that person is going to adapt even before you consciously elaborate, oh, this person has this personality type, they are in this career position, so they need this. All of those things are conscious thoughts that will happen in your head later. Even before that, if you have been focused enough on the person in front of you, your unconscious mind has already been grasping all those things and has already been telling you how should you communicate with that person if you have any intent of persuading them of anything. During the first 5 minutes of an interaction, so this time not just observing the person but interacting with them, the first 5 minutes you have probably, you know, missed eventually dozens and dozens of signals that could have been telling you, how can I hypnotize that person? Or how could you lead them in a covert trance? What I mean by a covert trance is it's like about acknowledging where people are. So it's not about, oh, I have a script to do a hypnotic induction, I'm gonna say that word for word out loud. It's not like, people are not machines. They may look like machines sometimes, specifically when they watch the media too much, but they're not machines. They are still human beings somewhere down below. Just specific examples in mind, I'm sorry. So you just notice where they are and you lead them covertly in a new state. That is the easiest explanation for a covert trance. It is not really about forcing people or you want to make them relax. First of all, relaxation is just one way of inducing a hypnotic trance. It is one way. Does it work? Yes, pretty well. It is not the only way. Shock is another one. A shocking thing is going to put people in a blocked state, a shock of any sort, a pattern interrupt, for example. Also, curiosity is another way. Did you ever think about that? Did you notice when Milton Erickson was telling that story to Richard Bandler, and every time Bandler was listening, he would be gazing at Milton and just pondering on very interesting thoughts. Do you want to know what he told him? You know, using curiosity like this, it is another way of inducing a trance. So relaxation is the basic one everybody thinks about because everybody associates hypnosis with bubbling. No, it is just one way of doing hypnosis, and it is not that stupid. But anyway, relaxation, curiosity, fascination can also happen when you tell the story of a fascinating person, or even maybe, you know, negative trances too. Like many people who enter an office for a therapy session, they come in a pretty fucked up negative trance already because they have been rehearsing very self-fulfilling negative prophecies in their head, what's going to happen in the future, or they rehearse in their head how many people hate them, or they think people don't like them, or they just rehearse very negative things. In that case, people are already in a trance, they are just in the wrong one. According to them, if they come to you for a session, somewhere in their life it means something is not working in the way they would like. So we can assume here they want to change. If they come to you as a therapist, they want to change anyway. So in that context, it is okay to lead them covertly in a new state. And the way to decrease all the pressure of, oh, now it is the time to change them, now it is the time to make them go into a trance, the way to erase all that pressure and make it vanish away, far away from your head, is to have a clear structure in your head for, okay, which state am I leading that person into? One by one. And it's not just about two states, like, oh, negative state, positive state. Yeah, that is the beginning, the basic foundation to see how it works. Now, when you are an advanced hypnotist, you are going to see that in several layers. You are going to see that they are in a hyper-negative, rehearsing self-fulfilling negative prophecies. They are just blaming themselves and saying the world is shit, all of those things. Okay, this is their current state, and you can be more aware of that. Even if their language doesn't match what I just said, but maybe their behavior is showing off those, you know, hyper, like they don't like the people around them, and it's showing that. Okay, you are aware of that, and then you are going to lead them in some intermediate state. What could be less negative? Before thinking about, oh, I have to make them change. Okay, slow down first. How can it be less negative? Maybe here relaxation could be a good one eventually, or maybe just, you know, disagreement. Disagreement is a lighter form of hate. Maybe you can lead people into a state of disagreement, and you can see how to do that in the course down below in the description. You can then lead them from disagreement, mild disagreement, to openness to new thoughts, a sense of curiosity again. And from curiosity, then we can lead them in a hyper joyful, mega motivated, positive trance. In that way, the chain works much better than if you try to make somebody go from super negative to super positive, which is what many people who have been studying NLP but not enough, or didn't practice enough, think it should look like. Oh, it should look like a rapid change. Yeah, the rapid change will happen once you master all those things, and randomly you cross a person who was at the end of their self-change process, because they have been investigating themselves and they know why they want to change, and they know all the things they tried that did not work, and now they come to you. And in those cases, yes, a change can happen in like 10 minutes because they were at the phase where they were ready. Not everyone is that hyped up and that ready on their own journey. Some people need more time to cross all those, you know, intermediate state to figure out what can I do next. So I have prepared a series of lessons, a series of steps that you can follow if you want to deconstruct that in a step-by-step process. It is down below in the description. You can notice where you are, which phase is the trickiest for you. Because it is not just about you are good at hypnosis or you're not good at hypnosis. This is a very generalized negative way of calling that. You're not good or bad, you're just at a certain phase of your evolution, that's all. And this method down below can help you to figure out, based on where I am, what is the next thing I would need? Do I need to work more on my nonverbals? Do I need to work more on figuring out what the person needs in front of me? And how does it look like a covert state change in a real situation? You have an example of that in the bonus section, and you can see it demonstrated by a master that you pretty much know who it is, but I won't mention the name for some obvious reasons for those who know about my previous channel. Anyway, you can just check that, and if you like it, you can investigate the method. It is basically a more clever way, I think, which I did not invent, by the way. I'm just putting into a structure what I have learned over the years. A more clever way of hypnotizing people, which seems confusing and too difficult for many beginners or intermediate hypnotists or therapists. Now you can see that as an ongoing process, and it removes the pressure, because when you stop seeing hypnosis in, now it is the big time, I have to make the big move, I have to do an induction. If you just erase that and notice, okay, they are right now in state number 1. I want to lead them in state number 3 or 4. What is the next step I can take to lead them in the next state? Okay, I do this, the hypnotic induction, the suggestion, the story, or whatever you want to use, which is described down below, obviously. You lead them, or you attempt to lead them, and then you test. You ask a specific question, and you notice, is it moving forward or not at all? If not at all, no problem. You go back at the beginning, you investigate a bit more on their problem, and then you lead them again. And once they are ready, then you move them into the end of the process, which will be explained down below. When you can see it like this, it removes a lot of pressure, because you start seeing changing states in a more mechanical way. And I know it is still, you work with humans, so you have to put a lot of empathy, emotions. Yes, for the content of what they say, yes, empathy, emotions, human being, of course. But the way you see the process of how the session works, if you see your session as a mechanical thing of step 1, step 2, step 3, it removes a lot of this emotional pressure of, oh, now I have to deliver a result. Oh, they are resisting. What should I say next? It just removes all of that. So, if you want to check it, be my guest. If you don't, just stay on my channel. You already have a lot of value anyway. And in that case, I will see you pretty soon in the next video.